Hello students, today we are going to start chapter 9 of macroeconomics class 12 syllabus, that is excess demand and excess supply. Let us understand first the meaning of excess demand and excess supply. In my previous videos, I have explained about aggregate demand, aggregate supply and the approaches which are applied for determination of equilibrium point. The equilibrium level may or may not be the full employment level as per Keynes. If equilibrium level exceeds the full employment level, this is the situation of excess demand, and if the equilibrium level falls short of the full employment level, it is the situation of deficit demand. So let us understand both of these concepts one by one. First is excess demand. Excess demand means aggregate demand is more than aggregate supply. It means that the planned expenditure is exceeding of aggregate demand which is required to establish full employment level in the economy. So, corresponding to the full employment level of output, aggregate demand is more than that of aggregate supply. So, it creates inflationary gap. This is explained through the diagram. On x-axis, we have taken income, employment and output. These are actually the points where the impact of excess demand will be seen, and on y-axis, we have taken aggregate demand. Now, at point E, aggregate demand and aggregate supply both are intersecting each other, and this is the full employment level point. Now, when aggregate demand is increasing beyond this in the economy, it means that the aggregate demand curve will move towards upside, and this is shown with this dotted line, that is AD1, and this gap between aggregate demand, the actual aggregate demand curve, and the planned aggregate demand curve, this shows the inflationary gap. Now, this may happen because of various reasons. First reason is rise in propensity to consume. Rise in propensity to consume means the people are consuming more of the additional income and they are saving less. When they are saving less, it means the consumption of one as becoming the income of other. So the income circulation in the economy because of rise in propensity to consume is getting high, and because of this the income level is increasing. When income level will increase, the demand in the economy will increase. Next is reduction in taxes. If taxes are reduced, the disposable income increases automatically because the percentage of taxes to be paid to the government, that is paid by the income of the people. If taxes are reduced, the disposable income increases. Disposable income means the income which people can spend freely on their own consumptions. So first taxes are paid, whatever is left over is called as the disposable income. So when disposable income will increase, the aggregate demand will increase. Increasing government expenditure, government may plan to invest more or increase more for the welfare of people. Because of this, there will be money supply in the economy, and because of this high money supply, the income will increase. Next is increase in investment. Increase in investment means this is directly proportion to MPC. We have seen this in my last video, which I posted for investment and the multiplier. When investment is increased, the investment multiplier also increases the income multiple times in the economy. So when investment is increased, the income also increases. Fall in imports. Fall in imports means we are purchasing less goods from other countries and we are purchasing more goods from our country only. As we are purchasing more goods from our country, it means the income which is generated on purchase of these goods is circulated in the economy, and the income level is becoming high because of this. Demand is high. Next is rise in exports. Rise in exports means people are now able to sell their goods out of the country. So we are able to generate income from out of the country. So from other countries, income are coming in form of exports, the profit, and this is increasing the aggregate demand. Last is deficit financing. Deficit financing means in case of shortage, more printing of new currency is done by RBI. Because of this, there may be more demand in the economy because of more currency circulation. The impact of excess demand on output, employment and general price level is very important. We know that the full employment level was already achieved. There is no idle capacity in the economy, but still aggregate demand is increased because of the inflationary pressure. But as there is no idle capacity, the output will not change because firms are not in position to produce more. Employment level will also not change because already the full employment level has been arrived. But the general price level, that is inflation, will rise because of excess demand. This is actually the undesirable situation in the economy. Second kind is deficit demand. Deficit demand means when equilibrium level is falling short of the full employment level. Aggregate demand is less than aggregate supply corresponding to full employment level of output. As inflationary gap was shown by aggregate demand curve, which was constructed above the aggregate demand because there was rise. Here it's a fall, so the new aggregate demand curve is shown below the actual aggregate demand curve. The planned expenditure here falls short of aggregate demand required to establish employment level in the economy. So in the same way, aggregate, we have prepared aggregate supply curve, aggregate demand curve. Point E is the point of intersection of aggregate demand and aggregate supply. That is the full employment level. But when aggregate demand is going below this, because of the reasons which I will explain you, then there a gap is created which is called as deflationary gap. The reasons of deficit demand. First is decrease in propensity to consume. You will note that all these reasons are just inverse of the reasons of excess demand. So decrease in propensity to consume means now people are decreasing their consumption and they are saving more. When consumption is decreased, one's consumption is now not becoming income of others in the economy. This concept we have read in investment multiplier. So there is less demand because of decrease in propensity to consume. Second is increase in taxes. Now government has decided to increase the level of taxes. So the disposable income has been decreased. People are having less money to spend, so they are demanding less. Decrease in government expenditure. Decrease in government expenditure means now the government has decided to spend less on social welfare because maybe because of shortage of funds or whatever may be the reasons. So there will be less money supply in the economy. The income generated will be less and people will not have money in their hands to spend. Fall in investment expenditure. We have shown here minus additional investment. It means that the investment expenditure is now falling. As there is less investment expenditure, there is less income in the economy. Next is rise in imports. It means that now we are purchasing goods from outside the country, so the income is going out of the country and in the economy there is less income, so less demand because demand is more for imports. Fall in exports, it means we are exporting less to other countries. The income which was coming from other countries to our country, if that income we are now not getting, this is the reason the aggregate demand is less. Now let us see how to control this excess demand and deficit demand in the economy. There are some measures to control. Let us discuss these measures. The problems of excess demand and deficient demand occur when the actual aggregate demand is not equal to the planned aggregate demand in the economy. So these problems can only be resolved by bringing the aggregate demand to the desired level. So there are various measures which can be taken to control the aggregate demand so that we can reach the full employment equilibrium. So let us discuss these measures for excess demand as well as deficient demand. Measures to control excess demand. First is decrease in government spending. Government generally spend on infrastructural requirements of the economy or for the administrative expenses. If there is more money supply in the economy or investment is high, then government should decrease the government spendings, like the spending which are unproductive for the economy. So these spendings can be reduced to bring the aggregate demand to the desired level. Second is increase in taxes. If there is excess demand, it means that income in the hands of people is more. So to reduce it, government can increase the taxes for various degrees so that the disposable income can be reduced, thereby reducing the aggregate demand. Third measure, that is decrease in money supply or availability of credit. This measure can be done with the help of RBI. The government and RBI both goes parallel to take such kind of financial decisions in the economy. All these points are explained in my previous video, in which I have discussed about the banking system of the country, in which I have explained the central banks, its functions, and all these are actually the functions of central bank. Our central bank is RBI. This is the reason I said RBI goes parallel to government to take such kind of decisions. Through this, the money supply can be controlled. So to understand each and every point very clearly, you should refer to the video related to banking chapter. So let us discuss the instruments. There are two kinds of instruments, quantitative instruments and qualitative instruments for controlling of money supply and availability of credit in the economy. First is increase in bank rate. Bank rate means for long-term loans, the percentage of interest to be charged on this loan is fixed by the central bank. Central bank lends to commercial bank on that rate, and commercial banks further lend to the public on the same rate. If the rate of interest will be increased, then the government lendings or the loans taken by the people will be decreased, thereby decreasing the money supply. Increase in repo rate. Repo rate is for the short term, and the implication is same. If the interest rate that is for short term lendings will be increased, then people will be discouraged to take more credits, thereby decreasing the aggregate demand. Next is open market operation. Open market operation means RBI with the government decide to purchase and sell the securities. So when the securities will be sold, there will be discouraging of the lendings, and by this the aggregate demand can be controlled. Next is increase in legal reserve ratio. Legal reserve ratio has two parts, cash reserve ratio and statutory liquidity ratio. If the percentage of amount which is to be kept with commercial banks and the RBI from the deposits, the percentage is to be kept from the deposits as reserves. If this quantity of reserve or the percentage of reserve will be increased, then the amount left for granting of loans will be decreased, thereby discouraging the availability of credit, and by this the excess demand can be controlled. Next is qualitative instrument. Qualitative instruments means there is no effect on the quantity directly, but the RBI instruct or advise the banks to work in the direction given as per the excess demand or deficient demand. So increase in margin requirement, if margin requirement will be increased, then people will take less loans on the security deposits or the collateral security they will keep with the banks. By this, if the margin will be increased, the amount to be lent will decrease. This is, I am again repeating, I have explained very clearly in my previous video related to banking chapter. So kindly go through the video to make this concept clear. Next is moral suasion. Moral suasion means only through the advices or through the written documents or the circulars, RBI instructs or informs the banks not to give more money as loans so that the money supply can be controlled. Next is selective credit control policy. Under selective credit control policy, the limit of the organizations as per their turnover or their assets or their scale is fixed, and government instruct and the RBI instruct to the commercial banks that they should give loans to proper particular kind of industries and not to all the industries. Like under this, government can allow or government can ask commercial banks to give loan to handicraft industries, to small scale industries, but selection can be done, like to liquor industries it should not be given, to cigarette manufacturing industries it should not be given. So there can be selective credit control policies. So loans can be given to some who are ultimately doing the betterment and not to others who may not be doing favor for the social causes. So these are the measures to control excess demand. Now measures to control the deficient demand. We should keep this in mind. When there is deficient demand in the economy, there is less money supply. So we should increase the money supply so that people will be having income in their hand. They will be able to spend the income only when their disposable income will increase, and ultimately they will demand the goods, thereby increasing the aggregate demand. So first is increasing government spending. If government will decide more to invest or more to create the assets in the economy, like roads, bridges, the employment opportunities will increase and there will be more money supply in form of incomes because more employment is provided to the people. So by increasing government spending, the deficit demand can be controlled. Next is decrease in taxes. If taxes will be decreased, more disposable income will be lying in hands of people and aggregate demand will increase. Increase in money supply or availability of credit. First is quantitative instruments. Decrease in bank rate, decrease in repo rate. If the interest rate is decreased, people will be desired to take more loans from the banks. If they will be willing to take more loans, there will be more money supply and demand will definitely increase. Next is open market operation. In this, government purchases the securities which were earlier sold. When government will purchase the security, the share certificates or the security certificates, so by purchasing these securities, the money will come in hand of government and people will get the money. By this, the money supply will be increased. Next is decrease in legal reserve ratio. Legal reserve ratio, that is cash reserve ratio and statutory liquidity ratio. If these ratios will be decreased, then more money will be available to grant the loans and less money will be kept as reserve. So by this there will be increase in aggregate demand because there is decrease in the legal reserve ratio. Next are the qualitative instruments. First is decrease in margin requirements. Decrease in margin requirements means the banks are keeping less money as collateral security or less amount of assets as collateral security and decide to give more loans on those assets. So when more money will be given as loans or the lendings will be high, definitely people will be willing to take the loans from the banks, thereby increasing the money supply. Next is moral suasion. Moral suasion means encouraging of lendings. Encouraging of lendings means under this the RBI instructs or informs the banks that they should encourage the people to take loans for various activities so that there will be more money supply in the economy, thereby increasing the aggregate demand. Last point is withdrawing credit rationing. It means that in case of increase, that is in case of excess demand, government was selecting a few organizations or purposes for which loan should be granted. But here that credit rationing is withdrawn and now loans are open for all. Anybody can apply for the loans even at less interest rates. So by this we can control the excess money, that is excess demand and deficient demand in the economy, thereby controlling the aggregate demand. I hope the concept is clear to all of you. With this we conclude this unit. Thank you.